Thank you so much for coming. We're glad you took the time to learn about your children's program for the fall. Some of you are returning. Can I get a show of hands for brand new families? Awesome. We're glad to have you here. Welcome to Rise. Before we begin tonight's presentation, I want to introduce you to a few people. If you could stand or just wave, so that way you know who it is you need to speak to. Julia Schmidt. Julia is the other director of Rise. Julia and I sit in the gymnasium on every Wednesday all day long to make sure that your children are safe and doing their work diligently. It's fun. Then they have, she did. Oh, okay, good. Beth Green. Beth Green teaches all of the math and SAT prep. She also assists the directors with accounting and the Rise website. Amy Line. Amy Line is our writing teacher. She teaches language arts all the way up to our high school literature with a biblical worldview. Michelle Estes. Michelle Estes teaches sign language, STEM robotics, middle and high school history. And Katie Frades. Katie is our science teacher for our middle and high school students with advanced honors courses for our older students. So, the last person I want to introduce you to is Pastor Brent Line. So I'm so excited to see so many familiar faces, and it's good to have you all back safe and sound. To ensure that Rise runs seamlessly through the year, we have a few points that we need to cover tonight. We would like your students to participate in Rise in a manner where their words and their actions promote unity and encouragement to fellow Rise students, teachers, and the directors and Mr. Brent Lyon as well. Much work goes into the planning of Rise, and Rise serves as a blessing to each of us in the homeschool community. These teachers have been working, and the directors have been working all summer to make sure that this program runs. We're just asking for respect. Because Centerpoint Community Church so graciously hosts the Rise program each week, we insist that students behave in accordance with the fact that this program takes place during church business hours. Centerpoint just absolutely knocks the ball out of the park. It's a fantastic church, and they allow CHIAC to be here, they allow the Rise program to be here, and we can't thank them enough. That being said, this is a church, and the office is right down here in the hallway. So the directors and the teachers will stay on top of the kids because they are running, there's counseling services that are in this building. The secretary's office is down here. We can't have kids running and yelling and cluttering up the hall. So we are gonna be strong on that because we wanna show respect and we wanna show our gratitude for Centerpoint for allowing us to be here. So that's a doozy, that's a big one. Study hall's in here. So when your child's not in a class, they'll be in here and they'll be reading a book or working on their studies, whatever they're doing. Now, if we hear people talking in here, that's one thing. We just can't have them having full-on conversations right outside in the hall. We want to remind you that you need to print out your children's schedule. It looks like this. It was in one of the attached documents that invited you to this open house. So it's very easy, print it out and then just highlight the classes. So this is one of my daughter's schedule. So she's got first period, she'll come back to the gym, second period, right here. She'll work on her work, then she'll go to third period. We'll ring a bell, we let people know when the next class is starting. There'll be a lunch break in here, and then we'll ring the bell or announce that class is about to start. She'll go to her last two classes and then be picked up for dismissal. Where you guys all signed in tonight is where your children will sign in and out. To keep the building safe, we only unlock one door, and it's the door over here. All of these doors are all locked for security reasons, obviously. The reason we are so particular that you sign in and sign out is that we want to know who's in the building at all times. And that's just a safety precaution. So if you want to print that out, I did have kids last year show up for Rise and say, I don't know where I'm going. So if you want to just print out their schedule and let them know where they're going to be heading. Okay, this is not a drop-off program, so this is not a full period. So that I showed you my daughter's schedule. Now at home, she takes German and Bible and history from me at home. So along with the courses that she takes from these fine teachers, I know that it's going to be my responsibility to work with her for 2 hours on Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. It is not the teacher's job to make sure that your child is doing their lab write-ups or finishing their math or watching their video prior to class. That is on the parent. That's why we homeschool. So just to let you know that this isn't a program where you drop them, they're good, they can figure it out till the next week. You're going to have to open their books and see what they're up to. So the teachers have devoted much time into creating a wonderful syllabus, and it's just going to be a fantastic year of learning. Okay, communication is a vital part of the program, so we ask you to check your emails regularly, and obviously you have. You can now log into your RISE account, so risenaples.com, and you can add your student's email and password. This will allow your students to get emails directly into their inbox from the teachers. So if Mrs. Frady says, I need swamp water, she can hit all their emails and they can bring in a fresh batch of swamp water. Because sometimes moms are busy and we got a lot of emails to check, but the kids don't have that many, and we have found that emailing them directly is helpful. So if you have any questions on how to do that login process and adding the emails, let me know. And before I take questions, I'm going to turn this over to Julia, who has a few more things to cover. Thank you.
All right, well, welcome. As Judy had said, my name is Julia Schmidt. I'm also one of the other directors here with the RISE program, and we are so excited to start our 4th year of RISE. So we have definitely grown from where we first started. So we are so thankful that you guys have sought us out, and we're here to help you in any way that we can. Tonight, I am going to actually go over 3 particular areas that you guys had read in the handbook. And one of those areas is the dress code. We had a lot of issues last year with dress code, and that's why we have this meeting tonight, so that parents and students know what we expect here at RISE. So we want to reflect our Christian faith, and in that way, we do that with our clothing. We all have different standards of modesty, but here at RISE, we have a dress code that we are going to uphold, and if it does not, and there's an issue, then we are going to verbally tell the student that they have to either go change, or we call the parent to bring clothing. And so one of those, for men especially, for the young men, we ask that you don't wear any ripped jeans. There are no tank tops. If you're wearing a hat, you must take it off during class, just to show respect to the teachers. Another area is we don't want to promote any drugs, alcohol, sexual innuendos, no crossbones, no skulls of any sort, just modest clothing. Another thing that now we're going to address is the ladies. So ladies, if you are wearing your yoga pants or your stretch pants, you have to make sure that your shirt covers your bottom, okay? If it does not, if it comes up to the waist, that's not what we're looking for. It actually has to cover your bottom, all the way to the bottom, your bottom, okay? So we had a lot of issues with that last year, and that's what we would like, because we don't want to cause any distractions to anybody, and so our modest wear is going to be a reflection of that we're here to study, and we're here to show respect to each other. Another area is no short shorts. If you are wearing shorts, they have to touch your knee, okay, for shorts, for ladies. And also skirts, they need to be to the knee as well. If you're wearing a dress, it has to be to the knee. Just because it might look great when you're standing, but when you're sitting, it gets shorter. And so we don't need that as a distraction either when we're in the classrooms. Also, ladies, no spaghetti straps, nothing with your shirts that are going to show your bra of any sort, no crossbones or skulls or anything that I had said with the men as well. So nothing that's going to promote alcohol or drugs or anything. And same with the ladies. If you come in with a hat, if you could remove it during class. If you're in study hall, we don't have a problem, but it's during class that we want to show respect to all the teachers so that they have your full attention. Another area is also behavior. We want to show our Christ light to everybody, so it's always awesome to come in with a positive attitude. I know when the year gets long, it's hard to stay positive, but if you promote a positive attitude, the year is going to go so much more smoother. So when you do come into RISE, we expect that your homework is done and it's ready for the teachers to look at and correct, so they can give you a check mark. So make sure that when you step into this building, all of your homework is done, that you're not just scribbling something just to get it done with. So make sure that you're setting your time accordingly during the week so that when you come on Wednesday mornings, everything is done. And then I'm going to have the teachers talk about cell phones, correct? Okay. We do have infractions, so if a student does have an infraction on clothing or behavior-wise, the first infraction is a verbal warning to the student. If it happens again, we're going to call the parent and we're going to document it and keep it in our file. And then if there's a third infraction, we're going to call the parent again, have them sit down with Pastor Line and us directors, and then we're going to talk about if this is still a good fit for your family and for us. Okay, so it's 3 infractions. Last year it was 5. We're narrowing it down to 3 because we are just serious about how we are with RISE, and we want to keep that expectation high. And then study hall, just like what Judy had said, study hall is in here. If they don't have a class, then they're in here. And study hall is exactly that. It is a study hall. So we expect students to have something to do while they're in here, so there's not a distraction for the rest of the students. It got a little bit loud last year, and it does towards the end of the school year, but you still have to be respectful because there are students who are taking online classes, maybe in a different facility, and they do that here. So if you don't have any homework, which I can't imagine, since you're just getting out of class, you have homework. So now is the time to utilize study hall. But if you don't have anything to do, bring a book. I know that students last year brought earbuds and listened to music with their phones. That is fine. As long as you are quiet and being respectful, that's all that we are asking. And if someone needs to be in a different, quieter environment, maybe they're doing an online class, we have a separate classroom that they could go to if need be. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to introduce Miss Beth Green, who is our math teacher.
So we're so excited to see all of you here tonight. I've been working with Judy and Julia on the website, so all of you I know have been on the website. It is a work in progress. They continue to make changes and improvements, and so if you find something that's wrong, please send us an email or call us, whatever you need to do, and let us know if you find something that's not working or that you see that needs to be improved. I also wanted to let you know that I know Judy showed you this class schedule that is an attachment. The website, she sent it out that looks like this. I love this because you can see every class and where it's at. Also on the website, I just want to let you know that when you're on the home page, there's a section there that says classes. And if you click on view all, there's a print button, and you can print, and it will show each of your children. You can have 8 children, and it will show each of their classes and which ones they're in. So I just want you to know that there are different options. If you'd prefer that, that's fine. You don't have to print this other schedule. We just need for your children to know where they're going to be at what hour so that they're not lost wandering the hall in between classes. So as they said, I do teach all of the math classes. I teach from pre-algebra through algebra 2 here. And so I love math. I love teaching it. I love seeing those lights go on when they get the idea and the concept. And so I also teach SAT prep. And in the SAT prep, there's a lot of math that's covered, and then we also cover reading and writing. The exciting news is that the average student that takes the class increases their SAT score usually 160 points on average. We've had some students go up 500 points, which is very unusual. It's certainly at the high end. But when kids stay focused and they practice, just like if you're getting ready for a sporting event, or if you're in a play, or if you're in a dance recital, you're going to practice and you're going to put in the time and it's going to show. And so the same thing, this SAT test is a standardized test. It's very learnable. There are strategies that we teach that can help with any test that they're taking. And so if they put the time in, typically they are going to see those results. It's not guaranteed because every person's different, but I just want you to know that it is something that's learnable and it can help students. So this summer I had 2 kids get full ride scholarships to different universities based on their SAT scores. So many kids are getting Bright Futures. Bright Futures has 2 different levels. One's pays 75% of your child's tuition. The other one pays 100% of their tuition. So these are fantastic things that I grew up in Michigan. That is not something that's available there. That's a special thing here in the state of Florida, and I highly recommend that if you can take advantage of that, it's certainly worth it. And so those scholarships are specifically based on the SAT score. Now, when we start the class, there's some confusion for some people. We start with the PSAT test. That test is offered in October. You'll also notice that's one of our breaks because the PSAT test is offered on a Wednesday. So that PSAT test in your junior year can get you a full ride scholarship to anywhere in the country. It's a National Merit Scholarship. You can use it wherever you want to go. My niece did win a National Merit Scholarship and got to go to a private Christian university for 4 years and did not pay a penny for any of that education. So it can happen, but it's the test that you take your junior year. So we recommend students take it their sophomore year so that they can practice and get used to the environment and used to taking that test. And then the junior year is it's the one that really counts. So not everyone's going to be a National Merit Scholarship. That's fine. Here in Florida, we've got the Bright Futures that you can still get to and get a lot of, even if you don't get 100% of your tuition paid, you get a lot. And the state continues to change the laws. A few years ago, the homeschool students had to score much higher than a regular public school high school student. Now they've made those numbers the same, which is so much better. So I just want to encourage you that if you're, like, you may have middle school students and you might be afraid of all of those things, I think it's a great way to practice and learn these strategies. So I also want you to know that I do allow phones in my SAT class periodically. I will let them know when they're used. There's a College Board has their own app. I let them download it in class. We work on that because they do a question of the day, which is great practice. So there are certain times that I will allow phones to be used, not for texting or doing other things. So I'm a mom of 2 boys. I typically can figure out when kids are on their phones. So, and there is a little announcement I'd like to make. I take this time because my oldest son, Tyler, married Katie's youngest daughter, Kyela, and they blessed both of our families with a baby girl last Thursday. So it's very exciting. So, yes. So you just never know where homeschooling is going to lead your children and who they may meet and what their future may hold. So it's very exciting for us. All right. And I also want to talk about, since I'm still on phones, I think almost all of the cell phones today have a calculator feature. I don't allow that to be used, so I always want in the math classes and in the SAT class, your child needs to bring a calculator. Anyone that's new to my class, that will be a gift from me the first day of class, because I want us all to have the same calculator so that I can teach you the different things that you can use on your calculator. It's also a calculator that is approved to take into the SAT test. If you start getting used to the calculator that's on your phone, you cannot take that phone into any standardized test, whether you're taking it, the SAT, the ACT, whether you're taking a test at FSW, it doesn't matter. You cannot take a cell phone in there. So I don't want you getting used to the calculator that's on there. So please make sure that your child is bringing their calculator to class every week. Then I will also be, I think most of you should have received an email from me. If your student is enrolled in one of my classes, you should have received a welcome email. If you did not, please contact me. Then if you had signed your child up when you registered with a username and a password, they will also get any communication from me so that you don't have to keep relaying it to them. I also want to make sure that you know on the website, they've opened a new classroom dashboard. Some of you may have seen it. If you click on the top, there's a classes tab. There's some new things coming, and we're not exactly sure as teachers how we're going to implement all of that, but I just want you to know that some of that is that we may be able to use this year. We may be able to use the grading. It's not available yet. They're hoping September. They're working hard also, so we'll see if we can even implement it for this year, but if we can, then those grades would be available anytime you wanted to log in and see what your child is doing. And while I'm talking about how your child is doing, I will check every week to see if their homework is done. They need to do their homework daily, and I highly recommend that you check their homework every day, because I don't want them to do their whole week of homework making a mistake and using that same mistake day after day after day, and no one catching it until the very end when they take the test. So please, I can only see your child 1 hour a week. I need you to make sure that they're doing their homework and that you're checking it to make sure that they're not making mistakes. We want these kids to learn these concepts and to be confident of the concepts so that they can do well on their tests. So hopefully that answers some questions about the math classes and the SAT class.
The thing that I would like to share with you about my classes is that the thing that I've learned after 8 years of teaching in this fashion is that it's very challenging to have a wide spectrum of students with reading abilities and writing disabilities that are very diverse in the classroom together. But I've come to love teaching in that one-room schoolhouse style that I teach at here. So there are 2 ways that I go about making the one-room schoolhouse idea work for reading and writing. And the first way that I do that is by, in all of my middle school classes and in my 10th through 12th grade classes, I break up the syllabus into levels. So in middle school, you'll notice on the syllabus this year that you can choose level 1, 2, or 3 to follow those instructions on your student's syllabus. You can tell them which level you want them to follow. I label them 1, 2, and 3 instead of grade 6, 7, and 8 because I don't want that to be distinguished. I don't want an 8th grader who needs to work at a lower level thinking, oh, I'm only doing 7th grade work. I want everybody to work at the level they're at because we look at how far someone can grow, not at what grade level they might be tucked into. So the levels are there for you to use in that way, for you to have some flexibility as a homeschool parent. And that's one way that I deal with it. Oh, on the upper level classes, I don't break it into levels, but I've broken that into 3 ways to take the 10th through 12th grade worldview writing class, it's called. You can take it as literature only, so that means you read along with us, and you do have to complete a small piece of writing every week that just proves to me that the selection was read. But the students who are just reading along with us, they're not writing essays and they're not writing research papers. And that level has worked fantastic for my students who are also at the same time dual enrolled. I do have some students who've moved on, and they may be in a writing class at FSW, but because of the worldview component that I teach, their parents still wants them with me here. So those kids, I don't want to double their writing homework. They've got enough writing at college, but they can still come and be part of the worldview class. So on that syllabus, you can choose to do literature only. Like I said, that works for dual enrolled students. It also works for students who just may have a lot of writing that particular year in other high school classes, or for whatever reason, the parent has decided that they don't need the essay and research component. I also offer that class, just the regular track is just the essays and the reading, but then I have suggested an honors track for that class. And those kids are just reading an extra book per literary era and writing a small summary about their reading. So 3 ways to take the upper level worldview classes, 3 ways to take the middle school classes. It's intended to keep everybody happy and growing. The ones who may be behind and challenged are the ones who may be way far out ahead and still also need to push on and continue to be challenged. In the middle of that, the middle school down here, the upper level high school up here, I have a class that's always the same every year. It's called Writing 1. It's essay, research, and literary analysis basics. And that class is my catch-all class. If I get someone who I haven't had in middle school, that class is designed to take someone who may have fallen behind. We'll start with paragraphs, and by the end of the year, those kids are ready for college writing classes. So it goes from 0 to 100 in the year's time. And that's what that class is designed to do. So other than setting up that range of classes for you to choose from, and even within the classes themselves, I've set up levels for you to choose from. I also just encourage a strong communication between myself and you, so that we can work out anything that needs to change for your individual student. I am here for you as the parent. My grandma always said, if the mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So I feel like I'm here to work with the mamas more than anyone. So I tell the students that I don't want to hear about why their homework isn't complete when they come to class. I depend on you, the parent, to let me know if something happened and you were traveling or the baby was born. We're homeschoolers, and I want to keep being homeschoolers, even though we're together in this program. So I want to work with the moms, that you can say, we need to delay this assignment, or I need to skip that assignment. Whatever mom or dad wants to work out with me is fine, but that's where I keep it as far as working on what happens with homework assignments. I do not negotiate or even like to entertain stories about what happened to my homework with the students. First of all, they're very entertaining. In my 8 years of doing this, we've had vindictive cats, angry hamsters, playful puppies, leaking diapers, all these things that have ruined people's homework, and it's so much fun to listen to these things in class. But it just isn't what I want to be doing with the one precious hour that I have with your student in class. So for that reason, I ask every year, and people still forget. So please remember, please students, do not come to class and try to use my class time to explain to me what happened with homework. That's mom's job. Happy to work with mom, but only mom, only dad on that. So that is how I bring together all different levels by providing the different choices for you in the syllabus and by working with mom personally or dad personally. I think I covered everything. My stance on cell phones is no cell phones in the classroom. If I happen to catch a glimpse of a cell phone, it will become mine for the rest of the period. There are a few times when we're doing an internet race, we're trying to gain some pre-knowledge about Shakespeare or whoever we're studying, and I'll have people get out their phones for very targeted searches and skills that we're working on. But usually I don't need cell phones in the class, so I prefer those to stay in the bags. Thank you.
I'm Mrs. Estes. I hope you can see me. I know I'm kind of short. Most of the high school kids tower over me, but that's okay. We have a lot of fun in our classes. The first classes I teach are American Sign Language. We have two classes. We have American Sign Language 1, which gives an introduction to a lot of vocabulary and to some of the history of the American Sign Language itself. And your student will be involved in some class projects and some individual projects. But the most important thing I can say about that class is that I ask your student to practice 15 minutes a day. And it's very important that they do so, because with American Sign Language, you want to have some muscle memory. And they need that 15 minutes a day. They can't do like an hour and a half on Tuesday night and get the same results as that 15 minutes a day. So if they are comfortable with you watching them practice that 15 minutes a day, that's fantastic, because that gives them the confidence to be standing up in front of other people. But if not, if you could just as parents try and work with them to remember to do that 15 minutes of practice on the new words that we introduce each week. The second class we offer is American Sign Language 2, and that gives them the 2 credits, the second credit that most colleges are looking for in a foreign language. While not every college will accept American Sign Language as a foreign language, a lot of them will. So that's a good way if your student feels more comfortable signing a language, being more expressive that way than learning say Spanish or French or one of those other languages, then that may be a good way for them to earn their foreign language credits. In the second year, we spend a lot of time on history of deaf culture, as well as learning and focusing on deaf communication and conversation. So you learn the vocabulary in the first class, and then you apply it in the second class. And I would like to say, if you are in my Sign Language 2 class for this year, this upcoming year, if you would please see me before you leave tonight, because I just need to check something with you, okay? Moving on, I teach American history as well. I teach middle school American history and high school American history. Now, you should have received a welcome email from me if your student is in one of those classes. I know a couple of people registered late, and you might not have gotten that welcome email. If you could please try and see me before you leave, if you didn't get that email, so that I can let you know about the homework assignment, because there is a homework assignment due in American history that needs to be done before your student comes to class next week on Wednesday. It shouldn't take too long to do, but we do need to be moving along so that we can cover everything we need to cover in those classes. Your student will have homework every week in those classes, and I do ask the parents to initial that your student has done that on their syllabus. And if you can try and do that every day, that's a help, rather than waiting till the last minute, because then it does become rather a lengthy assignment. And that goes for high school American history as well. Now, in my American history classes, what we do in class is a lot of hands-on projects and activities and a lot of classroom discussion. While we will grade some assignments that they have done at home out of the textbook, we do not work a lot with the textbook in class. So, but we do expand upon what we've learned in class, and we get the chance to really bring it to life. I also teach the STEM classes, STEM robotics. If you are in STEM robotics, you must have your own Windows-based laptop. It must be brought to class. Okay, the first 2 weeks you will not need your laptop, but after that you will. Okay, and you will need to bring it each week. Okay, we tried to make that as clear as possible in the description of the class, but I did have some questions over the summer. So, and if that's a problem for anyone, let's talk before you leave tonight, because we really need to have that to be able to do all the fun things that we're going to do in robotics. I've been messing around with our robotics kits this summer, and it's been a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to a lot of fun in that class. The STEM civil engineering class. That one, we work with materials that students bring from home that I say you could have pulled out of the trash or the recycling after mama cooked. Because we don't want any glass, but Tupperware, paper boxes, cardboard boxes, Pringles cans, toilet paper rolls, anything like that is the kind of materials that you need to start kind of collecting. Because as you build your projects, you're going to be using those materials. And the more things you have to pull from, the more creative and successful your projects can be. And if, I know a lot of you have taken that class in the past, and if you speak with someone who's been in that class in the past, they'll tell you that it's a lot more fun if you have a whole big bag of things to choose from than it is if you only have 3 or 4. And unfortunately, my household doesn't generate enough of that stuff for me to be able to give materials to 20 kids. So I need everybody's student to be generating some of that materials themselves. Finally, my cell phone policy. I am the odd one out. My kids are allowed to use cell phones in class. In fact, a lot of times I'll say, get your cell phones out because we need to look up this, this, and this. Or go look up this, I'm putting you in a group, this group looks up this group looks up this third group looks up something else, and we're all going to share. So for my class, it's under my direction, but the students are allowed to use cell phones. And in ASL, we sometimes need to use it to play some music. So please feel free to bring your cell phone to my class, but keep it in your backpack or your pocket until I ask you to bring it out. Okay, if you have any questions about any of my classes, please see me tonight before you leave, and I'll be happy to answer them. And thank you so much for being here.
Hi, I'm Katie Frades. I'm the science teacher. If you're in middle school, then we're doing Wild Florida. Middle school, Wild Florida. This is the workbook. If you haven't picked it up already and your student is in middle school, my husband is out there with them. They are the white notebook for the middle school class. If you are in the high school Wild Florida, it's a different color. Some of them are more of a pink color because Staples ran out of the blue. And I tried to give that to the girls so the guys wouldn't freak out. Anyway, that particular class, the Wild Florida and Marine Biology, this is the first year that I'm teaching that particular class the way we are, which means the students and I are going to be learning as we go along. I tend to be rather type A, excuse me, and so I tend to overdo. And I learned when I was homeschooling that I always planned way too much in the summer, and then as we went through the school year, I was throwing things out, trying to prioritize. And I'm afraid I'm going to do that with your students this year on this class. But because I know myself, and I know that's how I am, right now I've got a really hardcore course that's going to be a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. And as we go through it, if I find that it's too much for your students, we're going to be ditching things as we go along, because I want, particularly the middle school students, I want this to be fun. To me, if life's not fun, then it's not worth doing. So we're going to try to have as much fun as we can. There will be a lot of labs in both classes, in the high school and the middle school. The high schoolers will be doing more reading. They will have tests. The middle schoolers will not. Everybody's got labs in every one of my classes though, and therefore they will have lab write-ups. This is the first year, so you past students, listen up. This is the first year I'm going to actually be having you turn in your lab write-ups to me. I've seen some of them and they're not good enough. And that's because your moms don't know what they should look like, and I understand that. He's over here grinning and like this. Anyway, so, so see, my past students are all grinning and going, So this year, they're going to be turning them into me. And I'm going to sit here after classes on Wednesday and grade them and turn them back the following week. I do have a few students that are also in other programs like Classical Conversations and stuff. The students that have that kind of issue, they can either make copies of those labs to turn into me so that they can take their lab notebook, or I will work it out so I do that at lunch first thing so I can hand it back to you before you leave. We will work it out is what I'm saying. So there's going to be more involvement for me. I do not grade students in general, and I want you guys to understand that. Like I said before, I'm the oldest teacher here. I homeschooled my 3 girls, as you already heard. Actually, that's first grandchild is my 4th. I'm old. I'm in my 60s, okay? So, a matter of fact, I met a lady here tonight that I knew her mom when she was homeschooling her, and now she's here with her kid. I get that at FPEA a lot. I've been around a long time. So, because of that, I kind of am set in certain ways. I am old school. I want you guys to be the homeschooling parent. I am your science tutor. That means I work for you, the parent. That means that if you want to change something, let me know. Now, I'm in charge of my classroom because I have to control the situation in the classroom, but you're in charge of your child and their work. Now, with that said, I'm going to provide you some accountability in my classes because you are to print out the syllabus, and you are, at the end of the week, if you are satisfied with your child's work, you are to initial next to that syllabus, and then I have paid one of the moms who is my assistant, and she will be helping us with the labs and with the classes, and she will go through and look at those syllabuses. I'm not sure if it's syllabi or syllabuses, and Amy said I could use it both ways. Okay, so forgive my poor Latin, okay? I'll do better when it's a genus species, but the point is that that syllabus will act as something that we will look at to make sure your student is doing what you want them to accomplish. Like I said, middle schoolers will not have tests. They will be graded on other things. Once you get into high school, then there will be tests because we do need to have a grade for your college transcripts. And so they will take their tests at home. In the Wild Florida high school class and physical science, they will bring those tests back the next week and we will grade them together in class, not in biology and chemistry. I have worked very hard videoing all of the study guides in biology and grading all of the tests in biology so that we don't waste that precious hour that we have together on anything I don't have to. And so in both chemistry and biology, I've spent literally hundreds of hours filming those things so that your student can go and listen closely if your kids are in my class. My website for RISE is ProfessorFreites.com. That's easy, right? ProfessorFreites.com. And that is strictly for RISE students. And if you go there, if your kid's in biology, you go to the biology page, and then there you'll find me going over the study guides. You'll see all the test grading will be there. The idea is this. Your student should do the work, and that's in I sent you a parent letter. If you didn't receive it, it is on the website. You can download it and print it off. Your syllabus is on the website. You can download it and print it off. And so the 4-part creation science series that a lot of you have already mentioned, you've already watched, is on there for your student to watch. As they do the work, you'll initial their syllabus, and then they'll come in the next week and we'll do the class, we'll do the labs, they'll turn in the labs or whatever, and then they'll go home and do the next part. Now, in physical science, there's math, and in chemistry, there's math. They are not allowed to do the arithmetic by hand in my classes. I am the science teacher. In chemistry, there's no question they're going to use a calculator. But in physical science, I'm telling you, they're not allowed to do it by hand. They must use a calculator. They also have to show me all of their work. They are not allowed to just give me an answer or the whole thing is wrong, because it is a science class, and math is the language of science, so it works together. If your student has a problem with the math, I just want them to do the best they can, and then when they come into class, I am going to help them with it. Frequently, I will show them a much easier way than what is in the textbook. That's why you pay me the big bucks, okay? So we'll get them through. It's okay. I want you to know that. And then if they need extra help, you let me know. Once again, we will grade the physical science test in class, the biology and the chemistry, they will do online with me, but they still need to bring that test into class with them the following week. My assistant will go ahead and record their tests, even though you will actually be assigning their final grade. The reason that I want those is not only to provide you with extra accountability with your students so that you're not beating them to death trying to get them to do everything, but also I need to know if they're keeping at least an 80 or above average, because if they're not getting at least a B, then we need to drop back and figure something else out. My classes are honors classes if they're taken the way they're described in the syllabus. If your student has any kind of a learning disability, please let me know so that we can be sensitive to that. If, like the other teachers mentioned, if your school year ends up not being what you think it is for whatever reason, and the student really is overwhelmed by trying to keep up with the class, they can take the tests open book, but they will not get honors credit for that. They will just get the high school credit with lab. But I want you to know that you have that option, because there are years when things happen that you just can't keep up. And biology is very vocabulary heavy, so that's not usually such a big problem. Chemistry, it can be a huge problem. I'm going to tell you this right now, and I would imagine it's true with your upper maths also. If a student falls behind in chemistry, they're probably not going to catch up. It's just, chemistry is hard. I mean, there's just no way around that. It's doable. I can get them through it. And some of the students will fall in love with it. And that always really surprises me, because some of them will be, oh, this is great. You know, and I'm like, yeah. So, and then others will go, okay, we're just going to get through this together, right? Yes, okay. And we'll have a good time, won't we? I mean, I try. I really hate boring. I hate boring. And there's a lot we have to do that's boring, but I try hard to keep it from being boring. So we'll be okay. I actually, before I got here with you this evening, I filmed a little clip for each class, so that'll be on your little page on the website if you want to look at that on specifics on the homework for your class. As far as cell phones, I shouldn't see them. They should be in their bag somewhere, because I do end up with students texting and stuff. And I'll be honest with you, unlike Beth, who is sharp to it, I am so busy trying to impart the information to your kids that frequently it's my assistants who are telling me, this kid's over here texting. And so I want the phones to be gone. The only time, and I will tell the students if this is okay, they can pull out their cell phone when they're doing a dissection or a microscope lab, and we see something so totally cool that they don't want to draw it, they want a picture of it. I'm fine with that. And I have a lot of students that'll do that, and then they're able to incorporate those pictures into their lab write-ups. I'm good with that, but listen, you can probably tell, like I said, I'm in my 60s, so I'm getting kind of hardcore, you know, you get less tolerant as you get older, I find. And so I've got an hour and 15 minutes with your kids, except for chemistry. You people in chemistry, they've got to be in the room by 7:45. We start at 7:50, on the money. Everybody got that, right? Because we need extra time in chemistry. Chemistry's hard. I need to give them the extra time. Plus, I want them to do every lab we can so that they can blow each other up. No, I'm kidding. But so that they can have some fun, all right? So the point is that meets a little earlier. But once again, the cell phone should be safe for taking pictures for labs. That's the only reason we will usually use them in class. Every once in a while, something will come up and they'll go, can I look that up for you, Mrs. Frades? And I'll go, yeah. And then they'll go ahead and do that, okay? So, did I miss anything? Oh yes, class schedule. I work in Boca Raton as well as here. I've been teaching over there this will be my 16th year over there. Yeah, I know. And of course, this year the schedules went And I gotta keep everything on the same week because there's very little of my mind left, and to try to prepare 5 different classes, 5 different labs, and then if they're on different weeks, I did it one time and I thought I was gonna blow a gasket, and I was in my 40s then, so I was a lot better able to handle it. So I can't do it. I have to keep the weeks lined up, and I apologize for the differences. On the website, on the RISE website, it's laid out for you, but I also actually built you a calendar. It's in every one of the course pages in my professorfreites.com so that you can print that out. There will be times when we meet that RISE will not be here because I teach 32 weeks over there. I need 32 weeks to get through chemistry, biology, and physical science. So everybody's going to get 32 weeks. On the October 16th week when we have the PSATs, they will still have to have class with me. It just won't be meeting physically here, so they will do it online. I have already uploaded those classes for physical science, biology, and chemistry because I have those filmed because my classes are for sale online. So I have those in the can, per se. But this marine biology is brand new this year. The good news is I teach over there on Monday, so I'm going to film it. I will try to edit it and compress it and upload it by the Wednesday of the PSAT. So it should be available to you by Thursday of that week so that they can go ahead and watch that class. And then we'll go on from there. But please do watch your schedule. If for some reason you can't come to one of the classes where there's no RISE but there is science, please let me know and I may be able to make the video available to you because that's not really your fault. So I don't want to make that a hardship for you, okay? Is that it? Oh yes, and my classes don't start, the science classes don't start until 21st. The 21st, so you have a little more time to get ready for the chemistry and the biology and physical science and all those. And like I said, if you haven't picked up your workbook for your student, you don't have to pay for it tonight, but please pick it up, and then you can pay for it at the professorfreites.com on the particular page. I built it today, so God willing it will work. But you press the button that says buy now, but you have to pick it up here. We're not gonna ship them to you or anything, okay?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, teachers, all of you, for being, able to share and impart wisdom on all these kids. You're much appreciated.